All right, now that we have the fence at a pretty good state, let's go ahead and move over to let's go to the wood. So we'll go back to our scene and we'll notice first thing we need to do is add a speck and probably add some grunge and stuff like that. So, and then also touch up this metal, make it look more metal. So the first thing we're going to do is make a new folder, and we'll call it specular. And just like before, we're going to copy just the flat diffuse, Control Shift copy, and then paste. And duplicate the ambient occlusion and bring it up here. We'll add our adjustment layers, so when we change the diffuse, we don't have to redo this work. And we'll just focus on the wood, getting it nice and contrast. All right. And go ahead and mask out a little bit what it was doing on the metal. So we want the metal to be a little bit more specular. All right. We'll turn off that stroke. And then also we have these wires here I forgot about. So let's go ahead and we want to have these things have a pretty good amount of specular. So it looks like we have to add that on top. We'll go ahead and do that now with our color dodge, which I'm not sure if the color dodge is going to show up. No, because this is pretty much a black texture underneath here, so we may just need to add a new layer. It's normal. And paint inside here. Go ahead and give it a little bit of noise. This is supposed to be like a rubber, like a telephone line. So we'll try that. And we need to erase this that we had on here. Alright. Go ahead and leave it like that to get it clean. Go ahead and make this a black. Let's save this out. This will be wood. Let's go ahead and import the wood specular. And let's add it. Go down to texture sample. Drag it in. We'll just drag it in a speck. I'll just go in and check it out. It's really hard to tell that it did anything, but there's some problems up here. We can see now that the wires now have a little bit of reaction to the light, which is good. Before they're a little solid black. I do need to break up the black in the diffuse as well. And there's still some more to add. So let's go into the diffuse and touch that. Also with this light, I'd like to have this actually emit some light, so we need to go fix that. So go back into the diffuse, and we will go ahead and get our selection for the wires. But you can see how it gets a lot of other black things, so let's go ahead and deselect all this other stuff. Alright, we got our wire selection. Make another folder, call it cable. And in here we can just go ahead and could put a texture in there to kind of break things up. So let's see what we have. You can go ahead and use a couple of these grunge maps. Let's try this one. So we forgot to mask out our folder, so we'll do that. Go ahead and flip it a little bit. Scale it up. And we really don't want it to have much color information. We'll add levels. We just want to give it something other than black in there. Even though this is meant to be a dark texture. So we'll go in here and move this around a little bit. And we'll turn the opacity down some. We'll try that. Now also we'll bring in some grunge. I love this texture, and I just like putting it in all over the place, basically. So we definitely want it coming from these areas and also from the ground. Let's go ahead and get our wood selection. I don't know why it's getting that, but basically we just want to mask out our wood. Go ahead and deselect some of this. I'll go ahead and sample a piece of this that I can use on smaller objects, like right here. I'm going to mask this out. And these grunges can be pretty heavy, and since they're so simple, I just like to kind of combine a lot of the small ones, but I'll keep one preserved for now. And let's see, looks like there's something coming from here, so I'll try that one. And let's try the same thing, but on the metals. I'll go up here. It's kind of big for the metal, so I'll scale it down some. And to switch to the move tool real quick, I just hit V. If I remember, I'll hit VB, because those are the two main ones. Alright, so let's go ahead and mask out some of this metal that's going on the light. It's hard for me to tell which one of these is a light and which one isn't. So I'll just go back in here and see if I can see any patterns really quick. You got that there and that there. It looks like it's probably this one and this one. Let's go ahead and combine these rusts. So let's go ahead and check this out really quick. So we got wood diffuse. So it looks like that was those. And we got the nice grunge here. A nice one there. Accidentally, if you select that material when you have the BSP selected, it accidentally does that. So I may want some coming down here as well. Alright, it's looking pretty good. I like that. Looks a little blurry. And let's go ahead and get the normal map from that detail so we can see how that's going to look. I can't remember if we already sharpened the wood, but I'll just check it out. That helps a little. So let's go ahead and get a normal map from this. But it's usually a good idea to get rid of the grunge whenever we do that. So really quick, zoom out, go ahead and combine those. Turn those off. We'll leave that. And we'll just try that. So we'll select all, Control Shift Copy. And we'll just turn these back on. Go to our normal map and hit paste. And let me just get some better values in here. Go ahead and blur this with the value of 2. and we will run the normal map filter. We'll do the same thing with this one. Control F. Now let's zoom in a little bit and sharpen this. Now let's combine these with an overlay. Remove the blue a little bit. It's kind of hot right there. So we'll see. See what this one does. Alright. I don't really like what's going on here with the normal map. I think it's actually hurting. So I may end up getting rid of these details from here. Usually this tries to make things look round, but maybe it was the way the smoothing groups were laid out. This definitely looks like an error. But let's go ahead and save this out and see if we can examine it in the game. So you can see it really did help sell that wood a little bit better. It's a little grainy, but made it look a lot better, especially with the speck rolling off of it. This also looks a little much. Same here. I have to tone that down. And these wires, you can kind of see with that normal map is creating those seams. So we're just going to get rid of that completely. So to get rid of that, we will go ahead and paint it in the mask. So instead of doing it that tedious way, go ahead and just get our selection from here. And we'll go back to Alt-Delete. It's a lot faster. And let's go ahead and we can put these in here and call it details. That way we're only painting a mask once. And once again, if we change this normal map, we won't have to redo a lot of that work. Leave a little bit, but it's a little bit too strong on the metal. It's also kind of strong on here. It's just a little bit blurry in the editor, so let's try to do another unsharp mask. And we'll go ahead and tone this down just a little bit more. Try that. All right. So that's imported and does help a lot. Looks a lot better. I would like to make this emissive, and we need to make sure on here that the smoothing group is all 1 and max, so you don't get these hard edges like that. So let's go back and we'll make a new folder here, and we'll name it emissive. I think that's how you spell it. Maybe a 1M. And we'll drag it up here, and we'll want to clone the ambient occlusion. I'll delete the layer style and we'll make a new layer. We'll just fill it with black, and then we will go ahead and hide that for now. And we're going to want to paint a color in here. That way it's self-illuminated inside the editor. So if you remember, it was this one and this one. That's pretty much it. So the ambient occlusion is being projected down, and we may want to give this some color to represent the light. Just say colorize on there and find that orange. Something like that. And we'll save this one as emissive. And go back into our materials. We'll drag this out. Basically, wherever there's black, it won't display anything, but wherever there's any values above 0, it's going to display them. So we'll go ahead and check it out, and you'll see how it's back here. We accidentally have that applied, but here it looks pretty good, but we may want to crank it up a little bit, and you really can't go beyond 1 with pixels, but we can force it above 1 so it kind of blooms a little bit by adding a multiply. Just hold down M and click to give a multiply. You can hold down 1 and click to give a constant, or you can select them over here, constant, multiply. And we'll just plug this in the multiply and plug this in the amount. Just give it like a 2 or 3. Plug that in. You'll see it just takes those pixels and blows them out. Maybe we can get a little bit of bloom, like it's lit. You can see back there, it looks a lot better. So to fix that problem we have, you just select a correct area, sync to generic browser, select that one, and then click. And you just need to be careful that you don't have these selected. If you have this selected and you select something else, it's going to overwrite that. So go back into lit mode, press G to get rid of the icons. And real quick, we will go ahead and duplicate that light. We'll go to its properties by hitting F4. And we will go ahead and take the radius down and then crank the value up. Kind of like it's really bright, just right here. Kind of like that. So we got a bright fall off, and then we have a more dull. Looks pretty good. Alright, so it's looking better. The normal map detail in here just looks kind of a little weird. Maybe it's just that line. But I think that's a pretty good start. We'll put some there and we'll do some more color and dodge, and then we'll check the smoothing groups. Alright, so let's hide this and we'll find our metal grunge and go ahead and copy it down and put it coming down here. It'll look kind of cool. We'll go ahead and mask out a lot of these areas. And mask them out here as well. Leave some nice brighter spots in the middle. And we'll go ahead on the top of all of this, add our multiply and color dodge layers. And we'll pick another good harsh brush, like maybe this one. Go ahead and accentuate some of these corners, kind of like we did with concrete. We'll try a different brush real quick. Sometimes it can be hard to find the right brush. It's good that when you do find the brush that you perhaps remember it or put it in a preset or something like that, but I always forget to do that. We'll just try this one for now. Just want to accentuate some of these edges. All right. I don't know what this is, but looks like it kind of got missed. I think it's probably some metal or something. All right, we could try this. Sprinkle a little bit in here. All right, so go ahead and copy this layer and throw it up here in the spec. And we'll intensify it a little bit. Just save this out. And we will save the wood diffuse. And let's go back in here. Sync generic browser. You know where it's at. And it's hard to tell really if that did anything at all, but certain lighting conditions, you'll be able to see it a lot better. But here's weirdness with a normal map. Let me check that out. And we still need to check out the smoothing groups. So we'll go ahead and check the smoothing groups out. Let's see. We'll select the wires. And we'll go ahead and give it a smoothing group, clear them all, give them a smoothing group of 1. So we will export this. So you can see it helped a lot not having that crease in there. Now it looks a lot more round. And the thing we could also do is maybe put a little emissive here so we could see the light reflecting off of that. And also we need to check that out in our normal map. So we'll go in here into the normal, to zoom in. So you can see here there's a problem with the normal map, and what causes that is probably I had bad smoothing groups whenever I first generated the normal map. So sometimes the only way to fix that is to just erase it. You could always go back in Max and fix it, but it takes a while to regenerate the normal maps and to composite it back in. So sometimes you can just fake it in Photoshop. But no matter how much you do this, it's easy just to keep making the same mistake. So it just shows the importance of checking your normal map before you call it done when you do your render tests. So all of these cause weird, lighting situations. You can also change the size of your brush by hitting the brackets. And you can see how there's problems all over this thing. It is unfortunate, but hopefully we could just fix it by tweaking these few things. Go ahead and leave that one. Fortunately, we should have excluded this wire from the normal map calculation, but I didn't catch it until it was too late. The good thing about using this mask is if some of this ends up not looking very good, then we can just come back in here and put it back. All right. Well, we can try this. You can see it helped a lot. So now let's just play with that emissive real quick. Which would be, let's go ahead and sample that color. And we just paint it a little bit. So this is at the bottom, so I think this is flipped upside down. So we will just paint in a little bit right here. So we may want to tone that down a little bit because we are amplifying it, if you remember, in the shader. So we just want a little hint. See what that looks like. So it is hard to tell. One way you could test this out is if you just select the mesh and clone it, and you could just like throw it in the dark, and you can see exactly what it's doing. So we can increase it just a little bit right here. That would look kind of neat. Let's go back Photoshop and do that. And this is kind of blocking it some, so we'll go ahead and remove some of that ambient occlusion so it's not making it totally black. We really want that rim to be the brightest. So let's try this. See, it looks a lot better. Now maybe in this middle we won't want as much, and then maybe more on the sides. So just try that real quick. So it looks like the sides would be over here. So it looks alright, it's just a little lumpy. So let's just try one more thing. It's a little better. That light's a little hot, so press G and tone that down a little bit. Alright, go ahead and delete that. And it looks pretty good, so let's move on to something else.